So as you can tell in the video description, this video is pretty much all about what I'm doing to kind of physically prepare to get ready for ABOLC. I'm going to cover like push-ups and sit-ups, kind of what I'm doing for that. Running. So first, push-ups and sit-ups. I'm using the Stu Smith push-up and sit-up program. Really good program. I used it in OCS and it pretty much took me from 64, 65 push-ups up to 83. And then I did it again for our final PT test and it got me up to 91. So I'm just going to do like a brief overview kind of what the programs are. I'll put links in the description so you can kind of go check it out for yourself. But for the push-up program, what he set up is like a 10-day workout, 3 days rest, and then you take like a PT test at the end to kind of see your progress. So he set it up as kind of like an A day and a B day. So, or sorry, even and odd. So day one, you do, for me, I'm doing 250 push-ups in as little sets as possible in one sitting. So I'll go to the gym at lunch and I'll do usually like 5 sets of 50 push-ups, giving myself, you know, like 4 or 5 minute break, and I do 5 sets of them. And then the even days, you just do 250 push-ups throughout the day. So it's kind of like a rest day, but you're not really resting too much because you're still knocking out a ton of push-ups. And for the rest days, I usually do like sets of 60. But one thing that I really realized was you can't just go to the gym and, you know, do bench press and hope that your push-up count is going to go out. You know, I mean, I know a guy that can bench press 300 and he can only do 75, which, you know, gets him his max, but it doesn't get him up and above where I'm trying to do. So I mean, I can only bench press like 215, which is like really lame, but you know, I can knock out a lot of push-ups. So the key with push-ups is volume, volume, volume. Just do them all the time, and eventually your just muscles get used to it and you get better. So next, sit-ups. I'm using his program as well. I do 250 sit-ups, but I break it up into 30-second increments, and I do it at my goal pace, which is, so my goal is to do 90 sit-ups in 2 minutes. So what I do is I went online on like the App Store, got myself a metronome app, because like the key, like one of the keys with push-up, or sorry, with sit-ups is you need to set like an even pace. Your body can kind of get used to that. Or on the flip side, push-ups is just knock out as many as possible and then just kind of rest and then knock out some more. So I got myself a little metronome app on the App Store, and I set it to 45, and metronome pretty much just plays a sound at whatever, you know, BPM, beats per minute, you want. So I set it to 45 beats a minute, 2 minutes, 90 sit-ups. Pretty simple. So set this up, and I'll just play it. So I just hit it with the beep, hit it in the up on the beep. So days 1 through 4, I break up 250 sit-ups in 30-second increments. So I usually do like 23, 24, and then so it's usually like takes me like 10 or 11 sets. Give myself a couple minutes break in between, and then days 4 through 8, you do sets of a minute. So usually like for me it's, you know, 45 a minute and then 5 sets. So pretty easy. And then the last little bit, you just do a minute and a half. But the cool thing is with sit-ups is, you know, you can just kind of do them all the time, or you can do them every day. It's not as bad as push-ups, in my personal opinion. Alright, so next I want to talk a little bit what I do for the 2 mile. And to do that, I came out to my local middle school track to kind of show and explain what I do, because it's just easier to show and kind of just talk through it. So here we are. This is my track, just a local middle school. But what I do, I come here because there's markings on the ground that kind of give me like a set distance, so I can be pretty accurate when I just need to run like a certain distance over time. So what I usually do to start is I'll do like a mile warm-up, which is 4 times around the track. What this does is really just primes my muscles for the pretty intense workout that I'm about to have. Just loosens everything up pretty well. After the warm-up, I do some light stretching, and then I do some drills just kind of work on like mechanics, kicks and lunges and stuff like that. Just kind of loosens up the muscles a little bit more that running doesn't get. So once I finished all my drills and stretching, I'll go ahead and start the workout. All right, sorry I'm losing the light here, guys, but I'll go ahead and tell you what the workout is. So what I do is I'll line up at the start finish line here and I'll run 400 meters at my goal pace, which for me is a minute 30. So I try and do every 400 meters in a minute 30. So 400 meters times 4, which is about a mile, is 6-minute miles. That's kind of just what I shoot for. So I shoot for like a 12-minute 2-mile. But after I run 400 meters, I'll give myself a 100% break. So whatever time it takes me to run, I'll give myself that much time to rest. So a minute 30 run, a minute 30 rest, and then I'll repeat that. And I'll do that for about 10 reps or so. And then once I finish that, I'll go ahead and cool down for a mile. Now after I finish that workout, the next one that I do that week, I'll increase the distance from 400 meters to 600 meters. And I'll do that for 7 to 8 repetitions, giving myself 100% break in between as well. And then every workout I'll increase the distance a little more. So next time I'll do 800 meters and I'll do 5 of those. And then next I'll do 1200 meters, which is 3 laps. And then the last one I'll do is 3 sets at 1600 meters, which is a little shorter than a mile. You just have to kind of keep that in mind, that a mile is 1,609 meters. So this is what I do for my 2-mile workouts. All right, so now that I went over what I do for my 2-mile workouts, kind of want to explain some of the science that's kind of going on behind it and why I do it. So number one, first and foremost, is teaches my body to kind of process the lactic acid that builds up in my muscles pretty quickly. So each time you do a repetition, you're pushing pretty hard, and so your muscles are, once they kind of burn through that the glycogen in your muscles, it just starts producing lactic acid. So giving your body a little bit of rest time, it'll be able to process some of that and get it out. And what that'll allow you to do is pretty much run harder for longer. So in the last, that last half mile and the 2-mile, when you feel like your heart's going to explode and your legs are on fire, that feeling won't be as bad or won't happen as soon. And second, what it does is it teaches your body to run at whatever your goal pace is. You're doing all these laps and you're kind of watching your watch to see where your times are, and you can kind of judge pretty well, all right, this is my goal pace. So when you do get to the starting line, you don't like burst out the first half mile, which I see a lot of people do. They just get burnt out. They're they're running their hearts out, but after the first half mile they just kind of trail off. So this really teaches your body to like get at that certain pace that you need to hit and kind of maintain it. You don't go too fast, you don't go too slow, because you never know, when you're doing your test, you may or may not be on a track. I mean, I haven't taken a test on a quarter-mile track like this before in my 3 years in the Army. Usually it's either been on the road, or we had this weird like 5-lap dog leg track at OCS. It was weird. But that's kind of the science that's kind of going on inside.